Good afternoon, and welcome to the Rant Reloaded. I'm Mario Colangelo, and I am your host for today and every day, obviously. Anyway, I'm going to get right into things today. I have a question for you, and this is just my thoughts on the matter, but have the Democrats been overplaying their hand? Let me explain. Since 2016, Dems have been in an all out war to bring down Donald Trump. And I know I've covered the numerous ways and in past episodes, but let's be frank. They honestly bear repeating over and over again to ensure nobody forgets, and the Dems managed to sweep it under the rug and pull out another victory in the next election somehow. You have, let's go historically. You have Hillary's Still dossier, two attempted impeachments on bogus claims, cover ups of Burisma, cover up of Hunter Biden's laptop and Joe's involvement, the raid on Mar a Lago, now Trump's criminal trial brought on by an overzealous Democratic DA in an attempt to keep him from running in the 2024 elections. All this reeks of election interference, and add with that the issues with voting machines in several states that no resolution or re-election voting took place in spite of verified instances where machines failed or mistabulated counts or were just plain manipulated. The situation in Arizona comes to mind when I mention that, as they were one of the biggest violators of election laws during the midterm. Now, a recent poll conducted by, actually, hold on a minute, let me see if I can bring up this image. There we go, you'll see it right there. Sorry, having trouble remembering where to point. Anyhow, a company called Razaman Reports shows that the mistrust and belief that the 2020 election results were bogus seems to suggest that those numbers are growing across the board, with 43% of Americans believing that cheating affected the outcome. Let's take a quick look at the breakdown, and I hope you can see that graph okay. I don't really have a way to expand it right now. I'll work on that for future graphs if I choose to use them. But anyway, 53% of Republicans believe that cheating affected the results, and honestly, there's really no surprise there. All but the most spineless Republicans have believed this and voiced this since 2020. Now, independents came in at an astounding 46% that they believe cheating affected the 2020 election outcome. So, independent voters, meaning voters that aren't part of the Republican or Democratic Party, have decided that, yeah, they feel the Democrats possibly stole these elections. But here's the real surprise. If you remember, immediately after the elections, anyone you asked that voted Democrat would say no. That no cheating occurred, and anyone who would suggest that there was either an election denier or a conspiracy theorist. But now, 32% of Democrats believe the outcome was a result of cheating. Now, I did try to conduct an independent survey on this. Unfortunately, we didn't get enough responses to my poll that I posted on the Rant Reloaded Facebook site. As such, I don't have enough data to go out off of. 7 people took the survey that I posted, and that's not enough data to go off of now. If my listeners would be kind enough to go to the Rant Reloaded Facebook page, take the survey, Just scroll through my timeline there, take the survey. If enough people take it, then I will produce those results for you. But with only 7 people taking it, well, I can't really consider that a successful result. Anyhow, reports also show that people are leaving the Democratic Party in droves. But why? Perhaps it's that the Democrat Party no longer attempts to hide its contempt for American citizens. Maybe it's because they've shown their hypocrisy when it comes to illegal immigration, showing support for undocumented persons over American citizens and veterans as long as it only affects border towns. But when Florida and Texas started busing illegals up north to Democratic cities, all of a sudden Dems in those states say, no, not on my watch, you can't bus them here. It's un-American. In other words, we want them in border towns and Republican cities, but we don't want these people where we live. Now, if that's not the height of hypocrisy and racism, I don't know what is. And like I said, their thing is, it's un-American. We're not supposed to have to deal with this. It's a border town crisis. It's one that we created, but we don't want it affecting us. Now, that it is affecting states like Maryland, New York, and areas like the District of Columbia, Biden suddenly sends thousands of troops to the U.S.-Mexican border to at least appear like he's trying to stem the tide on the latest migrant caravan. Perhaps it's the way. It could also be the way that COVID-19 was misrepresented, mishandled, with lockdowns and closures across the United States, vaccine mandates that forced citizens to be vaccinated whether they wanted to or not. I mean, whatever happened to their chant of my body, my choice, I guess that only applies when you're murdering the unborn. But I say, and I do say applied, because many states have placed at least some restrictions on the wholesale murder of the unborn children, and congratulations to those states. You're doing an outstanding job in this case. Anyway, in my opinion, Democrats have indeed overplayed their hand, and I honestly think that they know it. So here's what I believe we're going to see over the next year as we draw closer to the 2024 election. The Manhattan DA, as I've said before, is going to attempt to drag out Donald Trump's trial well into the 2024 elections in an attempt to stop him from running, because our laws do state that, I believe they state, I have to research it a little bit more, but I believe they state you can't run for political office while you're under a felony indictment. So that's the first thing I see. Okay, I also see the Biden administration is going to continue to walk back, at least verbally, on some of their more extreme policies. Nothing will change, but they will tell us it's changing, or they're looking into it. Biden's press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, will continue to stand at the podium lying to the American people, telling us how terrible Trump is and that he's the biggest threat to our democracy. And of course, DeSantis will be thrown into those briefings with the same or at least similar claims if he announces his candidacy and makes it official. She will continue to tell us that our economy is on the mend, which it clearly isn't. And here's the sad part. Trump actually left office with our economic status on a climb. Yet Biden and Democratic policies have single-handedly crushed our economy and increased our national debt more than any sitting president in history. And what really pisses me off, and I'm going to get a little bit personal here, but it does make me mad. My foster daughter calls me last night, scared to death, almost in tears, because yet again, asking me because yet again, AOC claims that Social Security benefits or disability benefits are going to get cut. And like I said, this is because she called me because of lies and filth that constantly spew out of the mouth of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is telling people that because Republicans want to reel back government spending, that the Republicans, are actually planning on cutting Social Security. And my foster daughter, happened to catch one of these TikToks put out by Cortez, and it literally distressed her. So yes, I'm taking it personally at this point. And the thing is, there has been no such thing to my knowledge. Nothing has been said or even indicated by a member of the Republican Party that they intend to cut Social Security. They simply want to cut back on wasteful government spending. Let me explain what I mean by wasteful government spending. Sending millions, billions, and trillions of dollars to the Ukraine with no foresight of outcome. Okay, sending money to Iran and Iraq and places such as those. You're sending money to our political enemies instead of investing that money back into the United States economy. This is what Republicans want to stop. They want to stop wasteful spending that has no purpose, spending that, quite frankly, makes the American people or the American nation look weak, because we're basically paying off our enemies. And that in and of itself is a problem. Now, they will also tell us how effective Biden has been on issues of illegal immigration, which obviously we all know is a lie. And of course, Biden will double down on the fear-mongering, telling us how, if they don't remain in power, our democracy will be destroyed. Here's the thing. We don't live in a democracy. Never has. The United States, since its founding, has been a democratic republic, not a democracy. There's a distinct difference, such as Democrats want us in a true democracy because that would give them all the power and actually relieve us, citizens, of many of our constitutional rights. But honestly, that's a show for another day, and I will do that show here very shortly. Now, we have seen over and over, just prior to elections, the Democratic Party using fear to garner votes, saying conservatives are a threat to our democracy and our way of life. Make no mistake about it, my friends. When they say that Trump or conservatives are a threat to our way of life, they're not talking about the American people's way of life. No, they're talking about their way of life, the Democrats' way of life. They're talking about the threat to their power. Yes, we are a threat to their way of life. We are a threat to their power because, unlike those on the left, conservatives remember that the government serves the people. It doesn't rule over them. Conservatives believe in a smaller government, not government oversight on every little stinking detail, and allowing the people to retain the authority to hold our elected officials accountable. And speaking of accountability, and seeing that even traditional Democratic voters now have questions about the last election and are leaving the party, the question becomes then, will voters hold Democrats accountable in 2024, Or will they give into the fear and give us another 4 years of near totalitarian rule where the Justice Department is used as a sword to attack any political opposition? Where we have a president such as Joe Biden who has intentionally and with malice committed treason by intentionally crushing our economy, allowing our enemies to spy on us, and providing intel to communist China and Ukraine as well as Russia. So his drug-addled son can have a nice cushy job for which he's not qualified, or in exchange for access to U.S. intelligence and or the ear of the presidency. Does anybody else out there see a ongoing trend with the Biden syndicate in this case? I mean, seriously, we are becoming what Germany was before Hitler took over. And it's scary to think about, but we might want to look back at the real history of what happened in Germany that led up to the events of World War II, because, ladies and gentlemen, we are on a direct course for that same thing happening here in the United States. So, anyway, I'm unfortunately over my 15 minutes. I decided I'm going to try to lot most of my shows to 15 minutes, so I am out of time, so I'm going to wrap things up here for this week. In summary, again, yes, I do believe that Democrats have overplayed their hand, and what's worse is they don't even try to hide it or hide their contempt for the American people any longer. And speaking of contempt, for over 90 years, Democrats have managed to hold a death grip on the state of New Mexico. Well, next week I have a guest planned for the 6 p.m. show who will hopefully have some insight on how to break that grip. So join us next week as we welcome a 2022 Republican candidate for the New Mexico Secretary of State, Miss Audrey Trujillo. I believe I pronounced that right. Audrey, I do apologize if I got the name wrong, the name mispronounced. Now, although we are going to be focusing more on the local politics of New Mexico, since I still hope that you will join us, as it might actually key in our representatives on a national level as well on how to finally break the chokehold that Democrats seems to have on America. So until next time, this is Mario Colangelo with the Rant Reloaded saying if today's political climate isn't pissing you off, then you are simply not paying attention. Please hit those like, follow, subscribe buttons. If you feel generous and want to make a donation to help keep us on the air, you can go to our website at www.therantreloaded.com, click the donation button up towards the top of the screen, not very top, but towards the top, right-hand corner, and make a donation. If you want official Rant Reloaded merchandise, go to the same website, click on the shopping or store link in the menu, and purchase some official merchandise. All proceeds go to helping this show stay on the air. The proceeds are split between keeping this show on the air as well as benefiting disabled veterans organizations. So hope that you'll help us out a little bit. Anyway, again, this is Mario Colangelo with the Rant Reloaded. I hope you have a wonderful day, and if you want, it's the same show repeated, but you can tune in again at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time this evening. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Take care and be blessed.